We have alarming new details tonight about dangerous lead levels in drinking water in some Canadian cities. Global News was part of an investigation that tested drinking water in hundreds of homes across the country and found some people are being exposed to dangerously high lead levels. It's leaching from aging pipes, and many Canadians are completely unaware of the risk. The investigation resulted in the largest collection of data of its kind in this country. In part one of our series, Heather Yourex-West explains what was found and how concerning it is.
For years, Leonel Peterson and her son drank water straight from the tap. The Prince Rupert mother says she always believed it was safe for her family.
The only testing that was done by the journalists that came up here to do the story.
Peterson had no idea her family had been consuming lead at levels more than 3 times what Health Canada considers safe. Her water was first tested in December as part of a year-long investigation. Journalists from 9 universities and 10 media organizations, including Global News and the Institute of Investigative Journalism, knocked on doors in cities and towns across the country. Of the 260 homes tested, 39% had lead levels exceeding 5 parts per billion, the maximum lead level deemed safe for consumption by Health Canada.
Oh, my Lord. It's too high.
That's a lot. That's way above the guidelines.
That's a big difference from what the city gave us.
The investigation also analyzed 12,000 municipal tests from 11 Canadian cities, most of which had to be accessed through Freedom of Information requests. 1 in 3 exceeded Canadian safety standards. 18% were at least 3 times the limit.
Yes, we have flints right across Canada because of the absence of regulation to push the numbers down. In these houses with lead service lines, we have elevated lead.
In 2015, a tainted water crisis in Flint, Michigan made international headlines. The water there had been contaminated by bacteria as well as lead. But when comparing lead levels alone, some Canadian cities, including Montreal, Regina, Saskatoon, and Prince Rupert, are conspicuously similar. Though Prince Rupert health officials say that because the city has no lead service lines, the problem is not system-wide like it was in Flint, but due to corroding lead sources within older Prince Rupert homes. Lead exposure can be harmful for all of us, but children are particularly vulnerable.
Children exposed to lead will have higher rates of heart disease, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, early dementia, gout, anemia. I mean, the list goes on.
It's why Dr. Hannah Atisha believes parents need to know if their children are being exposed. But lead testing data in Canada is rarely made public, and in many Canadian municipalities, lead testing isn't even required, even though lead service lines continue to supply water to hundreds of thousands of Canadian residents in many parts of the country.
Let's not forget that throughout the years, science has evolved, even like what governments are deciding to do evolves.
In response to this investigation, Montreal's mayor has promised immediate change. Lead-lined pipes in that city will be replaced, and a searchable database containing lead testing data will soon be available to residents online. But those changes won't immediately apply to people like Leona Peterson and her son, who have no choice but to get their water from other sources until governments take action to ensure what comes out of the tap is safe for everyone. Heather Yourex-West, Global News, Calgary.
Apart from lead levels, there are plenty of places across this country that don't have access to safe, clean drinking water. Many of them are First Nations communities. The Canadian government says it hopes to lift all long-term drinking water advisories on reserves by 2021. Since November of 2015, 87 have been lifted. 57 still remain in place across the country, most of them in Ontario. That's also where Canada's longest boil water advisory has been in place since 1995. It's expected to end next month.